Hello, this is Belinda Goldsmith, Editor-in-Chief at the Thomson Reuters Foundation, and I'm at the Web Summit in Lisbon, where there's 60,000 people, including filmmaker Dustin Lance Black, who won the Oscar in 2008 for the Best Original Screenplay for Milk. Yeah. Yep, fantastic. Dustin is also a big LGBT activist. I want to ask today what implications you think this sexual harassment scandal we're seeing now in Hollywood will have for the LGBT community.
Well, can I start broader than that?
Please do.
I think first and foremost, it's an improvement for many different communities beyond the LGBT community. I think any time you create a toxic atmosphere for any group of people, the work is going to suffer. I certainly don't want any executive or producer ever coming to me and saying, you have to audition so-and-so. You want to have, and with the fear then that something horrible has gone on behind the scenes. I don't want to have that. We want to be able to create an environment in Hollywood, a creative environment where people feel safe to be vulnerable. That's what we're asking our actors to do and our artists to do, is to open themselves up, to bare their souls. How horrific is it that someone would take advantage of that?
Have you been surprised by the extent of the problems that have been coming out?
I've been surprised by a few of the names that have come out. I don't move in some of the circles so that they do, and it's heartbreaking, because there's been some of the folks who have had these allegations come out, have made some films that I've loved. They are talented people, but they're deeply troubled. I think that it's probably a problem that exists in a lot of industries, and we're seeing how it's starting to surface globally. And if that's what these horrible revelations in my industry could do to other industries, I think that's a gift to the world. I hope that it is exposed. I think it does not bring out the best in who we are to be taking advantage of people in the way that these producers and folks in power have done that. But I will say the vast majority of people in my craft are good people. We're trying very hard to make good films, and that's not easy. With the best of intentions, it's still a struggle. It needs a bit of magic. What we don't need is this sort of behavior getting in our way.
Had you ever had problems in Hollywood? You started there as quite young. Had you ever had problems or had pressure put on you?
No, I haven't. I mean, we've all had situations where someone has been a little flirtatious in any business environment, and certainly in Hollywood, it's strange, isn't it? It's not. We don't have the history of sort of corporate culture or a really well-defined power structure that helps us understand when someone is really breaking the rules. I think we're defining that now. I think that's helpful. I've been lucky not to have had to face that. Some of that, though, is, I've known to remove myself from certain situations and not to collaborate with certain people who I had heard might pose a threat in that way. And mainly because I want to focus on the work. I don't want to get a job because someone thinks I'm cute, because that's not going to help the work. I want to go through the test of fire with my projects to know that the work is good. And anything that gets in the way of that isn't going to help the end product.
Right.
So I've been fortunate, and I've been careful.
This is Belinda Goldsmith from the Thomson Reuters Foundation discussing the sexual harassment scandal in Hollywood with Dustin Lance Black, the filmmaker. Do you think that the allegations against Kevin Spacey coming out will bring more LGBT people to come forward to make these complaints?
I hope. If someone is doing this, whether they're gay or straight, I hope that it's discovered. I hope that it's brought out. I hope that I think that is it's like a cancer in any industry, and it needs to be cut out. So I hope so. What's heartening is that the people who are bringing these allegations to the forefront are being believed, and we're listening. Because I think for a very long time, people were bringing up allegations like this, and they were being forced out of the industry because producers or studios didn't want to jeopardize their great talent with such allegations. And so you saw people sort of pushed aside. And I think that's absolute. And so I think that's heartbreaking. I'm so glad that that's not what's happening right now. You know, I certainly don't think this is limited to straight people in Hollywood or gay people in Hollywood. I think this is a really sad behavior, tragic behavior.
What needs to change in Hollywood? What could be the thing that would change this shift? What could change this power differential?
Well, I think we're changing it. I mean, I think this is it. I think it's happening. You know, the casting couch is not new. We've heard about the casting couch in Hollywood forever. I think this is likely the end of that. There are finally repercussions for it. You know, this is it. Truth-telling. Shining light on a problem. This is how we make progress. You know, I hope this is getting us closer to that.
Now, one of your other big campaigns had been same-sex marriage in the United States.
Sure.
And a big congratulations for you getting married this year.
Thank you.
What will you do now? What next campaign will you be taking up? Will you be continuing a similar theme?
Well, you know, what I'm really interested in getting people to recognize right now is that as valuable as it is to define your difference, to examine your difference, to find your people, and using the internet to do that, and to understand just how incredibly diverse we really are. Never forget that that's not the end of the conversation. That's the beginning of the conversation. What we need to be doing as people of diversity, as minorities, is to build coalitions. Not to say, hey, I have it worse than you, I'm not going to talk to you. Or to get in fights about who has it worse. Define who you are, examine who you are, find your brothers and sisters in that difference, but then reach out to people who are very, very different than you. Make an alliance. Understand that without those coalitions, without the we, without the us, we are incredibly vulnerable. If we continue, as minorities, to race to the bottom, to continually divide and subdivide, what we will do is create more Donald Trumps. We make ourselves weak. And so really what I've been doing in my film and television work is to focus on intersectionality, the ways that different people have common interest. And I say this, and I believe it's true, and it's really wonderful to be here at the Web Summit, and I think the internet helps us do this. The internet has been critical in helping us understand that every single one of us on this planet is a minority in one way or another. It just depends on how you slice that pie.
Right.
We all have a difference. Every single person has an interest in finding those coalitions between minorities.
Thank you very much. This is Belinda Goldsmith from the Thomson Reuters Foundation talking to Dustin Lance Black at the Web Summit.